right, in this video we're going to be doing worksheet 1.1 for the class Simple and Compound Interest. Well, it's Discovering Simple and Compound Interest, offered on outschool.com. If you would like to watch the class that goes with this worksheet, if you would like to be a part of that class, just check in the description of this class and you'll see a link that will bring you right there. If you're already a student in my class though, we'll just go ahead and get started and you'll see how this, and you can check your work and see if you did it correctly. So the first thing I want you to do is just correct your answers. All right, magic, there are the answers. So go ahead and pause and make sure that your answers look like mine, so you know if you need to watch the video and what part of the video to watch, and I will get started. So go ahead and pause and correct and check your answers, and we'll get back to it. Okay, so to find simple interest, okay, it's I equals PRT. And let me tell you, there's a little bit of something wrong here. So if you have a question about one of these, you should. And I'll get to that in a minute. All right, so I invested $2,000 times, turn this into a percent, which would be 0.025% times 3 years. So if I put all of this in my calculator, let me do it real quick. 1, 2, 3 zeros times 0.025 times 3, I get $150. Okay, I want you to keep that in mind, that you got $150 for 2.5 invested for that and that. Okay, because we're going to see something. There's something wrong with number 5, and we are going to kind of investigate that in this video. The second one just wants to know your interest again, does not want the maturity value. So again, I have to set it up. 3%, move that decimal 2 places. It's going to give me 0.03 for 5 years. Let me type all that in my calculator. And I get 480. All right, next one still asks for simple interest, so I'm just putting it all in. Move this decimal point 2 places. Sorry, forgot a 0. Type all of that into your calculator. 5,000 times 0.002 times 10, we're going to get 100. And the last one before we compare, we just set it up. Our principal is 1,200. Move this decimal 2 places, 0.003, and for 10 years. And we're going to compare. And we get an answer of 36. Now let's compare some things. I'm going to change my color. We have 3 problems and they all came out with different answers. And let's put them in order of the biggest yield first. So this one would be number 1. This had the second most yield. This had the third most yield and the 4th. Now let's see what it looks like when we take a look at which one invested the most money. Okay. So this one invested the most money. This was the second most money. This was the third most money and the 5th. Look, this was third in the biggest yield, but it's the first with the biggest amount. You can kind of see that these are random a little bit, okay? It's not, it is to a certain extent how much principal you put in. If you don't put in enough money to accrued interest on, it's not going to make a hill of beans for you. You can see that our lowest one, $1,200, was also the lowest in both accounts. It was the lowest yield and the lowest amount. So you got to put some money in to be comparable. But well, the biggest thing that kind of plays around with it is the year and the percentage, the rate. So let's put it in order of rate this time. So the one with the highest rate will make number 1. The second, look at this. For the exception of these two, and you can see their totals are way far away, pretty much the rate tells which one's going to have the biggest yield. We're going to do a project like this where we look closer at this idea in the next class. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 5. On your 15th birthday, your grandmother gives you $100 to invest. You have 2 options. I'm going to make a little note of what I need to do. Invest the money in an account accruing 3.5% simple interest for 5 years. Invest the money in an account with 1.5% interest for 10 years. So this is the second thing I want you to see. I get this really high interest rate, but I'm only keeping it in there for 5 years. Then I have something that's almost half the interest rate, but double the years. And look at how close our interest got. Now this word said yield. So you should have added this back to the 100. It should have been 117.5 and 115. But I want you to see how I could have a really low interest. It's not just the interest that keeps our yield high. And I know neither of these, if you put neither option, why would I want to put my money in an account for over 5 years to only make $17.50 more than what I put in it? I would accept that answer and accept that reason because that's a good reason. And there are better investments. But what I want you to see is and it's sometimes easier with smaller numbers, that almost a little bit less than half the interest rate, but double the years, and look at how close they got to each other. So if we get a low interest rate, another way that we could get the same amount of yield is by keeping it in for more years, okay? So if they're the same interest rate, the next thing I want to look at to get more yield is more money. And like I said, we're going to be doing a lot of that comparison in, I'm guessing, the next week, because this one is where you kind of have to look at that. So unless it's already been assigned, you probably haven't gotten that far. All right, that is worksheet number 1. If you have any problems, please contact me, and I'll see you in the next video.